Hello, everyone. Thank you again for allowing us to come and speak to you guys again. And for the new judges here, we're excited to show you guys our presentation for a social solution for growth. My name is Elvis Diaz. I have Carrie Houston and Caitlin Styres. And today we have planned the challenge that you guys presented to us, the solution that we came up with, our approach towards that solution. And in the end, we'll wrap up with the stakeholder map that illustrates all of the win-win situations we'll be able to create for all the involved parties. And Carrie will start us off.
Thank you. So you presented us a challenge. You're at a precipice for your organization and you're ready to take on a new evolution of growth. So that looks like to us, you need to drive more revenue and change more lives by embracing new market opportunities for sales growth and making a broader social impact in your community. So I'm going to start with what we can do in our community to grow a new employee base. So as we all know, there's lots of disempowered groups out there who could use the support and services that Televerde has to offer. These groups have terminal unemployment rates, have limited opportunities for employment, but could have high education rates and opportunities for employment as long as they had the support and opportunities available to them. We narrowed it down to 3 major group categories, and eventually we came down to foster care alumni as a great opportunity for you to look into this community, make a difference, and also that we believe that they have high value that they can offer into your organization. So why? What's the case? Oops, sorry about that. What can they offer? So interestingly, 75% of foster care alumni graduate from high school. These are individuals that haven't had strong parental guidance and structure and are aged out of a system, but between the ages of 18 and 21 without a lot of social support offered to them. These are individuals that within 4 years of aging out of the system face 50% unemployment, 70% end up on government assistance, 50% also experience homelessness, and they face higher rates of incarceration. And interestingly, these individuals are probably ones you're already serving today through your incarcerated women programming. So interestingly also, we believe they have skill sets that could be unique to your future and to our business proposition that we'll present later. They have strong communication skills, particularly in the digital space. They grew up as digital natives and have strong digital literacy rates. And especially as the growth of social selling has increased, such as social media marketing, social media communication, digital chats, and et cetera, these individuals we think could have a strong employee base for you to leverage in your future. They also have strong diversity rates, so it's about 50% female population, so you can further serve your mission of supporting women. And additionally, they actually have strong diversity in race, so it's a relatively race-blind issue. It covers across different race categories in this category of people. And also there's a partner that exists out there called iFoster. This is an organization that serves incarcerated youth currently in the system. And this is a nationwide organization that offers training and job preparedness skills workshops for youth that are about to age out of the system and currently work with corporate partners such as CVS and Safeway and Starbucks to offer job opportunities. So we think this is a great partner that you could leverage and work with to further embrace this population into your organization. So I'm going to pass it on to Caitlin, who will talk about the business opportunity.
Thank you, Carrie. You guys hear me here? Okay, great. So looking ahead, it's great that you guys want to support a disempowered group. However, you cannot do that unless you drive the top line. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this is a business and you need to be bringing in some funds. So looking at where are potential customers to who you can onboard, we recognize that the Televerde competitive advantage right now is within the B2B SaaS space. That is something that you guys have as bread and butter, and it's a skill set that you're able to train employees on without much experience. So we wanted to say, well, where can you take that and find a niche market within that same segment? So what we decided upon was looking at customers or clients who were earlier stage in that market life cycle. So potentially 0 to 5 years who have smaller annual revenue. We recognize that means upfront customer acquisition costs would be fronted more on the Televerde side. However, that does leave open an opportunity to negotiate strategic relationships for a revenue sharing model. So in the SaaS market, Scott specifically, a lot of the platforms themselves are subscription-based models. So for all of those customers that Televerde onboards and then continually provides the retention and support services, that could be set up to where a percentage of that revenue that is initially generated comes straight back into Televerde. So again, it's hedging and sharing risk up front, but then it's allowing for greater return on the back end if you can identify those high potential SaaS companies. Specifically, with the conscious capitalism movement and Televerde's mission of aligning with higher purpose, we recommend going after companies that either serve that same higher purpose through those products that they create or through the customers that they themselves are targeting. So specifically looking at education or higher education, healthcare, and, for example, nonprofit. We did a little bit of background research on that and found a few companies here, as you can see, and these are all in that 10 to 15 million range right now, still relatively young. Also, these customers typically don't have their own sales and marketing channels completely developed yet, and are looking for an opportunity for someone to help in that space. So looking at our go-to-market, it's very detailed here, and I know we have limited time, but something to call out specifically for the companies themselves. As you approach these, it's going to alter your sales process a little bit. It will take more front-end research to try to target who are these new companies that are up and coming as opposed to established players in the market. However, we do think that there's a big gain here because you'll have a shortened sales cycle once you've identified them to reach the ultimate decision maker to say, join with Televerde, let us take your sales and marketing in-house, because it likely will be a smaller company with less bureaucracy, if you will. From the employee side of things, looking at the orange boxes there, these are youth that are more digitally advanced and literate, so likely you'd be able to reach out to them through those same digital platforms to kind of just drive awareness of Televerde as a potential employer, as well as leveraging that relationship with iFoster, which is a similar organization to the nonprofit that you are representing today, Allison, with regards to skills and job training development while they're still in the system. We do have a more detailed forecast put together for you guys in the appendix if you'd like to see, but ultimately by year 2, we do think you can hit that 75 million revenue and help an additional 150 Foster alumni. Last thing to touch on here, there seems to be a bit of a misconception within the SaaS space of focusing on driving customer acquisition up front as opposed to really focusing on support and retention of those customers. So you can see some of the stats that we pulled up here. Without knowing detailed mix of the services that you guys provide right now, we do want to say for those customers that you are serving that are focused more on the front end of the funnel, approaching them and trying to build out more contracts with regards to that retention side of things, because this does seem to be a high area to grow revenue from a share standpoint. And with that, I'll pass it over to Elvis to close it up.
So in conscious capitalism fashion, we have for you guys a stakeholder map, specifically who would benefit and create those win-win situations for you all. We have the main purpose of today is in terms of unleashing human potential to improve clients' business. So we talked about employing the new Foster alumni, specifically maybe focused towards women. And with the opportunity to provide them jobs, we'll be able to provide financial stability to these individuals who normally would not have the chances of doing that. And also will reduce homelessness or likelihood of incarceration. I know that there can be a conflict with introducing a new employee base when you've been focused on incarcerated women. However, we feel this will be an opportunity to boost their engagement in the work that they're doing, not just the fact that they're doing meaningful work, but kind of pay it forward and provide mentorship to these foster youth to kind of not do the same mistakes that these individuals may regret, and maybe utilizing Arrowhead as a way to kind of coordinate that would be really interesting. Also for the community, we already know that it costs taxpayers a lot of money for incarcerating people, but also the fact that these individuals may not be able to reach their desired success and kind of be active participants in the community. And there's a loss to that we can really take advantage of and make sure that they do reach that potential that they have. Also with the clients, with us targeting specifically early stage organizations, we'll be able to increase the impact that these health, education, and nonprofit organizations are doing in the community by being that vehicle to drive their revenue so they can reach more clients and impact more people that way. In addition, because they're in the early stages of development, they'll be able to be more flexible to even providing job opportunities for the incarcerated women who graduate from the program. As we mentioned from this morning, if they're not able to take roles within Televerde, it's kind of hard to find those partners who don't care that people were felons and kind of stigmatize them. So these companies might be good opportunities as well for those strategic partnerships. And then lastly, the investors, the people who founded Televerde will be able to benefit in the fact that their vision on why they founded this company, that value is able to further perpetuate, and that we're able to actually reach the 10,000 lives to be changed within 10 years. So with that, we'll conclude our presentation and open you guys for questions.
Questions already, so you knew her. one comment I really appreciate, because this is probably the first time I heard that you identified the societal costs and how what you were doing was directly going to impact those societal costs. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked someone in the other group, which is, if you read the Televerde statement, their market is large companies. So you're very specific in terms of small to mid-size. How did you determine that that would be a profit margin that would make it worth it for Televerde?
Yeah, so that's a great point. We did identify that the core competency of Televerde today is targeting these large organizations, and it can sometimes be easy to look at how we're doing well today and just take advantage of that going in the future. But we thought that targeting these smaller organizations as they're about to grow and become eventually, hopefully, these larger organizations in your future, you're taking that risk now, but we think it has long-term potential and benefit. And we did some financial projections to kind of like support that thought. And also we thought it was so important to continue to align your values with the organizations you serve. And so those smaller organizations seem to be a good fit for you.
Thank you.
I have, even though I had an opportunity to ask lots of questions earlier, did you do any mapping of where the population of Foster alumni is in the US? Because that's going to be important for being able to provide that mentorship.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, or a great question. Yeah, the iFoster organization does provide maps and very detailed kind of location basing. We didn't put it into the slide. From a ballpark figure, though, it is roughly 30,000 youth every year age out of the system. That information does exist. We just don't have it for you, but we can provide you the link.
Are you insinuating that a smaller organization could support the same ASP as a larger organization? And how would you justify ROI? And would you be willing to tap into initial capital?
So not necessarily from an average selling price. It really determines like what is the product that they're selling. So for example, Give Effect, which was one of the companies I listed there, is a CRM platform for nonprofits specifically. So that will be part of kind of the weeding out process at the initial stage of who are the leads that we should research. So yes, there's certainly smaller ASPs and higher ASPs within that space. With regards to the capital, nonprofits and education and higher ed and medical, when they're within that smaller space, likely they won't have as much liquidity right now. And so from a capital perspective, Televerde would need to front most of that initially. But this is where ideally you negotiate the contract to where Televerde takes more of the risk upfront, but then can have a higher percentage of revenue share long term.
The case outlined UK being one of the target markets, and I was curious what the justification for focusing on a US market was.
Yes, definitely. So we evaluated potentially a foster care alumni specifically in the UK as a way to expand into that market, but we saw a lot of ample opportunity here in the US to start, particularly if you look at the incarcerated women as a stakeholder in your venture, and connecting them together seemed like an important opportunity to start and then expand into that conversation into the UK going forward. But that was our kind of thought process around it.
Anyone have any jokes?
Do a dance. You know?
I can sing. I love karaoke.
I can dance.
Yeah, actually, he can dance.
No, you can't.
Cool.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.